cold.
Well done, you.
Between here and versions, yeah, we had to. I thought there was someone rubbing up my back, but it was somebody behind me. I thought,
Most actually have no
oh my, so.
Did you get to run through and out of
Well, there was a blockade, so we couldn't.
Oh, you couldn't get
No, we got turned around.
Oh, that road was blocked off.
Yeah.
There's another one.
We had to walk. We would have had to walk the 7 kilometers up
They
the
were,
road.
they were at that junction there.
Well, no, there was parking for people that were coaches
Yeah.
that had walked up. That's walking up and down through the grove. Did we want to really?
It would have been
15.
it would have been way too much.
It would have been like 20 kilometers.
Well, and even,
Unexpected 20 kilometers.
well, and even going through Avatar, it's all
Well, that's
roots
it.
and up and
So
down.
that's the extra 5 kilometers.
Oh, I know. It's really amazing. I would have just come back later when Penny shut down this road yesterday.
my people need to be heard. Hey, June. Hey, Aya. Oh, is it Aya? Oh, I thought it was Aya. That's hilarious. Aya, hi there. Yeah, right on. Hi, how's it going? Yeah, like that.
Oh, do I know you? Have we? Sure it's not my sister? Sure it's not my sister?
Oh?
Hi, anyway.
My twin reported
Are you hugging?
Sure.
Did you see that Michael Linton is here?
No.
Michael and Sharon are sitting in the fountain. They came down just for this. Yeah. I haven't seen him yet. That doesn't mean he's not here.
I have a
Or no?
Live stream?
Yeah.
Love it. On Facebook?
Yeah. YouTube.
You got my little
Have you
kid
been
here?
okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jason.
Noah.
This is what the rest of me looks like. We've seen each other once or twice around. Nice to see you.
Tears of gratitude.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, if I had to do one thing over again, better social media. It's like, okay, goodbye.
But dude, it's clearly not, and that it's going horribly wrong.
It is that.
Yeah, it is. It is. I haven't made it up there yet, but Friday's the plan.
Yeah.
Every effort I've made has been curtailed. Everyone's like, nope. But I'm like, I'm going. I gotta get up there. How often are you up there?
4 days a week. So, 9 months.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
10 months now? Yeah. And no, it's not slowing down.
No, good.
So that is, well, yeah. Let's try to keep those numbers up.
Yeah. We're gonna do it.
Our parents are lying to us. It's not as close as they say it is.
In the news? I don't trust Oregon as far as I can throw them, but it's a whole other. We won't be negative today. We're gonna be positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trees are life.
Yeah. We'll see you later.
Good afternoon, everyone. Fantastic crowd building here this afternoon. I'm Saul Arbus. I will be emceeing the press conference that's going to start in about 5 minutes. So please enjoy yourselves, and it'll be momentary, and we will get going on this tremendous day when we're going to make the point yet again to the people inside this pile of rocks that we want action on the old growth now. So would the people for the press conference please assemble? People may not know, but the people the fellow that's just been playing is Valde. Valde. Thank you, Valde. We'll be hearing from him again a bit later. And we're going to start with the special ceremonial part of the event in just a few moments. Thank you.
Hey there. I wanted to share some information today, and I don't know if you want to share it, or my husband looked up. We're talking about jobs, right? They always say jobs. For 1,000 cubic meters of wood, which is 25 truckloads, in BC, on Vancouver Island, we employ 0.7 of a job.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jason. I've been asked to make a quick announcement. I want you to know that we're live streaming today. So a lot of us have community that couldn't be with us. Some of those community have big circles and big influence. If you're able to pull out your phone and find on Facebook this Facebook event, for those of you that are Facebookers, what's the Facebook event called? Last Stand at the Ledge. And there you'll find the live stream. So you can go there, tag people, share it, hit share it to your page, and we'll see if we can get the broadcast from this event out to tens of thousands. Thank you.
I have a rain jacket. Just let me know. Okay.
Do you mind if I give you my rain jacket when I need it?
I want to give someone my rain jacket so
Yeah.
I have my stuff right over there. You can put it there. I'm going to put stuff down.
Yeah, Valde.
I stand here as a woman from the Kwangan territory, whose roots to this land are through my father's side, which is Legislature, Skiptic, my grandma, Linda Dick, and my father, Samet David Dick. And I've been honored and blessed to have roots to the Kukakyak Nungis people in Alert Bay through my mom. Her family is Norman Seaweed, the late Beverly Williams, and my mom, who is still here with me today, Hatwina Pulagwa Leslie Seaweed. I'm supposed to provide a welcome, but right now in my heart I feel that it's best just to acknowledge the territory we're on, the place to smoke herring, the lands that are all around Victoria here, and honor my relatives from my Wasinich family and my Tasuk family who are here, and honor my Malahat relatives too who are going through a hard time. Before I start singing, I just want to take a moment to honor silence for but a fraction of our kids who were found in Secwepemc territory.
people here today who just did the opening have requested that we move our tables away from impeding or blocking the view or access to the memorial. This will just take a few minutes and then we will be underway. My apologies.
Oh, there she is. She's such a nice person. Is Katie or I? Katie's here. I don't. Oh, okay. She's. I'm worried about back there too.
And you know, like Tarzan is up in there.
Oh, really? Is he? Oh, is he
He
good?
waved to us right now.
Oh, dude, what were they doing? That, oh, they got caught and they're up again. Oh, good for them. Oh, boy. No, it's not. That's such a fun. They really have to work out the guy with the
Hey, buddy. And you. We got some of our friends. Oh, hi. Are you hugging? Not recognizing people with half their faces. I know, right?
All right, ladies and
You know what my name
gentlemen,
is? Your name
and
tag.
friends of the force, we are about to begin the press conference, and it gives me tremendous pleasure to introduce to you the upcoming hereditary chief of the Pacheedaht First Nation, Victor Peter. Can you hear me now? Whoa, that's great. I'm so sorry, so sorry. Okay, so we're about to begin the press conference now.
You can take your mask off.
We have some wonderful people here to speak to us. The first of them is Victor Peter, who is the upcoming hereditary chief of the Pacheedaht First Nation, a young man, a man of wisdom way beyond his years, who is going to speak to you now on behalf of Elder Bill Jones. So,
Ecological. Menhenget Huishwacha. My Nate, Katie, George, Jim. And I stand here in relation to my family and my ancestors in Lekwungen territories. On my mother's side, we are Suk, Pacheedaht, and Lekwungen, with very close ties to our family in Dididat. And on my father's side, we are Saitnich, with ties to Penelakut, and all the way down to the states in Lummi. And my young relative here, I wanted to ensure that there is a proper introduction and the significance of our relationship and all of our peoples in relation to this island, especially for those that cannot be here today, like our Uncle Bill and so many other family members, and just remembering to acknowledge that there have been deaths in our community just the other day on the island, but also with our family and our relatives who are we are commemorating and ensuring that they are not lost within this colonial history that has been taking over unceded, unsurrendered sovereign territories. And that also means taking away the children from the land, taking away the matriarchy by asserting male dominance and white supremacy. Colonialism has no place on Indigenous territories. And so, for our young relative here to be able to stand in the power that is rested within our ancestors and our relatives, which is not disconnected from the land to this day. For such a young person to see how incredibly important it is to show his younger siblings, to show our relatives like our cousins and aunties and uncles and mothers and brothers and our sisters and our cousins, how much taking this type of action and standing within the laws of the land can make. And I am so honored to have met you at this point in your life. I love you. And I am so proud that you are here and you're able to stand in your power and to represent so many families. And this is, I'm sure, a lot of pressure. I'm not meaning to do that. I just mean, this is how important our people are to each other. We got to make sure we say we love you. And we say the most important things that need to be said, which is exactly what we all need to hear, which is we need to be humility-based in this land. So, there's so much that could be said about the politics, but this needed to be started in a good way within relation to these lands and in relation to our ancestors. And so, perhaps to finalize some statements at the end, we'll be talking about some of band council, some other colonial politics, and a legal jurisdiction that seems to have some sort of misinformed perspective of what it means to have authority over the land, because that breaks our law inherently. So here is our young relative, Victor Peter, of Pachidat, Dididat, and Ecological. Yeah, your mom. Oh, you checklist it. Mm-hmm. Here you go.
Oh, it's going good. Hello? Can anyone hear me from the back? All right, sweet. Well, I guess I gotta thank you all for supporting the old growth against the loggers. And all I guys, I don't know what to say. I'm still new to talking out loud.
Why are you out on the land?
I'm here to protect all my territory, to represent my culture, to bring back our traditional stuff. We're slowly bringing it back. I'm proud of it. And what is it to be? I guess to be a leadership of hereditary chief. And I guess that's all I gotta say.
Sayam, Victor Peter, what an awesome leader, taking care of the land. So much responsibility laying on the shoulders of this young leader. Anybody who's ever been through that road from Pachidat, aka Port Renfrew, to Lake Cowichan, that's the land that he's responsible for. It's beautiful. I say, Haichka, thank you for doing what you're doing. Because when I first met Victor on the blockade, he's like no other leader. He actually had his hands dirty. He was doing the work. He was doing the work out there, moving dirt, carrying wood, like no other leader. Really listening to the land and listening to the people. That is a great leader. A leader like no other leader. When we think about, what shenanigans have been happening with another what's-his-face in there. Most people know what I mean when I say what's-his-face. And the other leaders, when we think of JT, when we think of Trudeau, and we think of the Assembly of First Nations chiefs, I throw them in there too because they're not much more different from this dude in here. So, for those of you who haven't quite figured out who I am, On occasions, I like to tell people, you know, my government name is Rose Henry, and I come from the Tla'amin Nation. I've been doing a lot of frontline activism work since I was 14 years old. When our government, when our social workers tried to make me a Canadian, I was going before the government, before the judges, and they was trying to get me to swear on the Bible, and I said I wouldn't because my mother was in the room, and my mother would wash my mouth out with soap if I swore. And it would be even worse because it was on top of a Bible. My mother said, that's not a time to be rebellious. I learned very quickly, you know, there was times that I could say hell and screw it, and, you know, stuff like that, right? So anyhow, but, you know, to bring it to today's issues, when we're talking about stopping, you know, logging the old growth, this is very familiar to me. When I think about, you know, I remember Mears Island. I remember Clayoquot Sound, Walburn Valley. I remember the fights from back 40 years ago. And now we have the grandchildren of the people that fought for Mears Island. I think there's something wrong with this government and this system when we spend 40 plus years fighting to save the old growth. So for the past 3 months, I've been making my way from Mutulia to the blockades. And I say blockades as in plural, because there's a lot of blockades. Not only is it, you know, like for one portion of the park or the territory, but there's also been the blockades of the loggers, the people who are supporting the RCMP, the many hurdles that we've had to run through just to get to where the real people are, the real people who are standing up to protect the future of the next generation, to ensure that our next generation will see some wildlife, to ensure that the next generation will see what an ancient tree looks like. I say the power that our blockaders are showing is incredible. But it's even more incredible when I see our Indigenous family members, young and old, standing up. When I see what they've had to go through when the arrests happen. Yes, there's been a lot of arrests. I think it was the last count, 201? 201 arrests? Shame. But what's even more shameful, and I've had to tell this time and time again at every circle that I've spoken at, is that our Indigenous people are more at risk because of racism. Because they get put in jails longer than any other nationality for standing up and protecting all of our future. I am so proud of our Indigenous communities that have made it up there and that are taking a stand. Even with all the grief and the sorrow in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a crisis, in the middle of what has created this memorial, we're still taking a stand. Because we know that the Creator is meant for us to be doing this action right now, taking that stand. These are the true warriors right here. And they're taking that stand not just for their generations, for their families. They're taking a stand for each and every one of you people out here. Because we all love to breathe. We all love to look at the beautiful trees. We all love life. So on that note, I'm going to say Haichkaseyam for about 2 seconds.
Haichkaseyam, Siem Nistelacha, Shalaswet and a snet, Quakotamat and a tain, Kiam Tanamain, Squi Halachapla, yet Skananot, yet Squasimultuk and a Salsilala. Chaetsin to Setnich, Chaetsin to Lokonginang Sngongihush, Yathalus Jelachasta, Yathalus Trulakwasta, Che Konangitolta, Quant Elanganokta, Chaetsin to Pachidat e Dididat, Sngongihush, Chaetsin Muk to Sngongihush, Ye och laat Pachidat e Thitlang at the Skala Kalelngoch. Good day, everyone. My name is Tiffany Joseph. I am Satnich, Skolmish, and Kowatsin, just through my grandparents' lineages, land ties, and ancestral ties. I could go much further, but I'll keep it short. I acknowledge that we are here in the village of Husekam, a place of clay. Our peoples, the Lekwungen-speaking peoples and Sanchothan-speaking peoples, were pushed out of here by the people who wanted to build the Empress Hotel. I acknowledge that this building is on that village that our people were living on and thriving on, that we were pushed out for the quote-unquote elite that wanted to create that hotel, and we must do everything we can to right those wrongs. Places of clay were places that were abundant for shellfish gardens. The shellfish gardens are one example of how our people tended to the land, tended to the beaches, and created abundance and created biodiversity. We weren't just creating sustainable ecosystems, we created abundant ecosystems. We had salmon so huge in our territories, all along the coast, that were so big, you could throw one over your shoulder and its tail would drag on the ground. It's important you know that that was intentional, that the Creator gave us laws in order to maintain abundance of species, but an abundance of love, an abundance of care. No one was homeless, no one was unhoused when Indigenous peoples cared for these territories. Everyone had something to eat, and that includes all the four-legged animals, all the winged animals, all the shellfish. Nothing was ever worried about going hungry. We were able to share with one another as human beings, and we were able to share with every other being. We acknowledge them as relatives. The trees are our relatives. Every shellfish, every four-legged, and every winged being is our relative. And that is what our laws mean. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, those are the laws that we talk about, that we need to abide by. Before I go any further, I'd like to acknowledge my ties to some people here. Huisquacha, a dear relative of mine. We've worked together a lot over time. I've worked with her mother, Quetztanat, from Tuk. And I also acknowledge that my nieces and nephew are from Quabadawa, which you know as Carmana. Their great-granduncle was Peter Knighton. He protected that place. He lived there all his life and raised his family there. He respected my sister and welcomed her to that place. She participated in their activities, feeding the people who'd come to their village, their family village. And I'm so humbled that my nieces and nephew come from that family. So humbled by how well they treated my sister. Those are my ties to that land. And that's why I stand up. We are a strong people and a wise people. You have to go and do your PhDs to understand things that we know. You have to pick it apart, piece it apart to understand what we know. What it all comes down to, treat every being around you like a relative. Honor their life. And the most important thing that the society needs to learn is to support Indigenous matriarchs, support Indigenous youth. No child wanted to be taken away from their home. No child wanted to come into this world knowing that their parents were harmed, knowing that their parents couldn't speak their language. Every one of those words, kaleongoch, tangoch, elanganukta, ha. Those words have so much meaning in how connected we are to these lands, how all those teachings came right from the very first people that our Creator placed here on this earth, whether they came from the sky or whether they came from the grains of sand. In a very holistic way, Indigenous peoples come from the lands and the skies. And I look forward to a time where our laws are respected, where I think it's really important to recognize that the people standing up are in large part young Indigenous matriarchs and young Indigiqueer people. And I just really want to hold them all up. And that's all I'll say. Haiska Hela.
Gayla Kessler. Nugu Rainbow Eyes. Hi, my name is Rainbow Eyes. I'm a member of the Danakdal Wheatlala First Nation. Our traditional territory is in Knight Inlet. I stand before you humbled and so proud to be a part of these people, because the people that make this camp and this movement are everything. Thank you, Katie, for always being so brilliant in what you say. I'm in awe of you. Victor, oh my goodness, you're so amazing. This one, the drummer back here, she's the most beautiful spirit I've ever met in my life. Sage is so beautiful. She's been keeping the sacred fire. She's so beautiful, I can't even say. I just don't. Her voice is amazing. She will sing for us, I think. Fingers crossed. Whirly bird. Oh, the beauty is just flowing. This man right here. Who knows this man right here? Who? This is Glenn. He's the heart. And all the people up in the mountain, Shauna, Shambu, like everybody, I cannot say the names enough, because the movement is bringing together the most incredible people on the planet. It's opening our hearts. And we just came from the camp this morning, and Grandma Osa as well. The wise, beautiful people of the world are coming to guide us. Not the people in this building. They do not represent us. We are on the Pachidat and the Dididat lands, and we are so respectfully there. We are invited by Bill Jones. This is a global movement. We are here to protect the trees because we hear the call from our hearts. It comes from our hearts. Turn off the news. Listen to your heart because it's coming from within. This is the call of the forest, of the land, of Pachimama. are no words. Oh, thank you. Thank you! Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh.
So we're going to stand up. We're not standing down.
Well, this was an incredible opening, partly unexpected, but brilliant and truthful, and speaking truth to power. We are very, very, very proud of all of these Indigenous people and the youth who have come forward to assert their sovereignty over their territories and their lands. Thank you. And now we will hear from some non-Indigenous elders, people who have been engaged in this movement for many, many years before some of these young people were even born. And these are extraordinary people that have persevered, that have kept up the struggle for the protection of the old growth, who have spoken eloquently of it. And I'd like to first offer you a person who needs very little introduction because of her vocal opposition to the destruction of our forest, or to put it in a positive way, to protect all the remaining, the remnant old growth, of which less than 3% remains, certainly on Vancouver Island and anywhere in British Columbia. We must save it. I give you Vicky Husband.
I honor all of you who are standing up for the forest, courageously standing up. It's so important. And I want to honor Elder Bill Jones, who has got the vision and the strength and the passion to inspire everyone. Is an incredible man, an incredible leader, and I'm very happy to have called him my friend. So that's my beginning. These are very courageous people, and many in the crowd here are as well. We're all here to stand up for the forest. And we have almost nothing left, so we all know that. And why the hell is the government not moving? They're stuck. I would say let's call on Premier John Horgan and his sleazy politics, which is what they are, a colonial defense of chalk and log. He's not dealing properly with First Nations in any way. This is a major problem. And his moral failure to protect the small amount of BC's remaining old growth. It's abysmal. We need to move forward. The whole system is corrupt. This is the problem. The forests, whether it is forest lands, natural resources, and all of this, that long Flinrod name is corrupt. It's not working. It's been captured by industry. With that in place, and with this government and the whole government, it's not just the Premier. Who's speaking out? I haven't seen anyone, except for Adam Olsen and Sonia Furstenau. It's time for massive change, but we can't wait. The old growth forest, what I call the ancient forest, cannot wait. We have so little left. The fact that they can't even understand that this is incredible. I've been involved for over 40 years. I was at Clackwood, I was at Mears Island, South Moresby, Coatsamateen, and many other areas on Vancouver Island and the coast. And I know what it's like. And we used to have a lot more. And what we have now is a pittance, and they won't even allow us to protect that. So I think we have to protect all the remaining old growth ancient forests now. No deferrals. We have no time to wait. The forests don't belong to the government. They belong to First Nations, the Indigenous people who are standing there, to everyone who stands to protect them. And we all have to stand together. And this massive force has to cover all of British Columbia. There have to be rallies, there have to be people standing up for the forest. So they know that it's not just Fairy Creek, it's everywhere. Everywhere there's a last old-growth tree and forest standing. So this is where we have to go. And I would say in final, stop the lies, Premier Horgan. Tell the truth.
You know, I think it was Grand Chief Stuart Phillip who stated that very recently that the trees belong to all of us. The trees belong to all of us. And now I would like to introduce another person who is a veteran of the struggles for old-growth forests, first within the Ministry of Forests, and then as a private citizen, as a consultant, as a writer, as an ecologist, and as a member of the Metchosin City Council, who led a movement, a resolution to the Union of BC municipalities to call for the protection of the old growth, which passed almost unanimously among that group. All the municipalities in British Columbia support further protection of the old growth, and a good part of that has to do with our own Andy McKinnon.
Thank you, Saul, and thank you to our speakers. It was a wonderful way to open our meeting today. Can everybody hear me? I honor everybody who has come here today to stand up for the old growth forests. I think we all have our own reasons to stand up for the old growth forests. And there are as many reasons as there are people in this crowd, as there are grains of sand on the beach or stars in the sky. I want to tell you about a reason that's important to me today. So this will be slightly different from some of the other presentations, but it will be brief. I stand up for old growth forests in part because of what we don't know about them. And I'm speaking as a forest ecologist here. We don't know the names of most of the species that are associated with old growth forests. They are fungi, they are bacteria, they are insects and spiders, and we don't know what they are. They are lichens. We don't know how these forests work. We don't know much about their structure. We must approach them with respect and with humility. And that doesn't seem to be the approach to managing old growth forests in British Columbia right now. When Dr. Neville Winchester at the University of Victoria studied the arthropods that lived in the canopies of old growth Sitka spruce in the Carmanah Valley, what he found in the course of doing his PhD was that about a quarter of the species were new to science. That is, nobody had ever seen them before, had described them, and just about all of the rest were new to Canada. And what Neville learned from those canopies is just about the sum total of what we know about insects and spiders that live in the canopies of old growth forests in British Columbia. We also know that there are groups of lichens that we only find in old growth forests. And these canopy arthropods that Neville was finding, the cyanolichens and some of these other specialized lichens, are only in the old growth forests. We don't ever find them in the second growth forests. And so we were pondering, I wonder what the canopy lichens, what the canopy arthropods of the old growth forests of southeastern Vancouver Island were. The answer, of course, is we have no idea, because there's no old growth left on southeastern Vancouver Island. In all likelihood, many of them were new to science and became extinct before we even knew of their existence. This is how well we understand these forests. And so everybody has their reasons to be out here tonight, to be this afternoon, to be champions of our old growth forests. But one that's near and dear to me is that I think if we're dealing with ecosystems that we understand so poorly, so imperfectly, we really ought to be approaching them with a precautionary principle. That means we need to save a lot of the old growth forests that are out there, and I thank everybody who has come out this afternoon, whatever your reasons, to join in calling for that protection. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andy, for this. So we have different kinds of knowledge, and we need to bring these knowledges together, the Indigenous knowledge and the knowledge that comes from Western science. Both are valuable, both are invaluable, and we need to link them together so that we have this greater understanding of our magnificent heritage here that we must protect. So now, I would like to, we're going to have a musical interlude with none other than Valde. Valde, who has been engaged in these kinds of actions for most of his life. I don't know just how long, but certainly for the 40 or 50 years that I've lived in British Columbia, Valde is a legend, and he will establish that legacy again here today. I give you Valde!
Thank you very much. I stand before you as a settler, the son of 2 immigrants. And I would like to give you a little bit of past, present, and future. I won't be long up here. Think about what you're leaving when your elected days are through. When your kids have kids and they hear what you did, will they think the world of you, the world of you? I say thank you from all of us here today, and all of those yet unborn, who will grow to see the mysteries embodied in the form of these precious lands that we save, these precious places. And you do what you do with conviction. And here's hoping that you keep us inspired, that you're not here for the short term, just to ride them and run. You're going to stay for the fire. You're going to stay for the fire. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's the past. Now the present. We don't kill our elders. That's going to be the mantra here. And it would be really sweet if you could repeat, we don't kill our elders. We don't kill our elders. That old growth is still standing there because so many of you care. We don't kill our elders. For years we've taken young and old. We've got to leave them to breed some more, so we don't kill our elders. We don't kill our elders. They're a live genetic archive. We can't allow this genocide. We don't kill our elders. We don't kill. It's good news about this deferral. the message goes out around the world that we don't kill our elders. We don't kill our elders. And that's been leadership that we deserve. And for 2 years hence, we must ensure that we don't kill our elders. We don't kill our elders. Yeah, yeah. Passing through. It's what we're all doing, is passing through. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes blue. I'm glad that I ran into you. Tell the people that you saw me passing through. And I shivered with Louis Riel. One cold night down at Batoche, I said, Louis, how come these folks are fighting the way they do? He said that folks will suffer and fight. Some will even die for what they think is right, even though they know they're only passing through. Same as me and you, we're all just passing through. It's all we're doing is just passing through. Sometimes happy, sometimes blue. Glad that I ran into you. Tell the people that you saw me. Tell the people that you saw me. Hit it. Tell the people that you saw me passing through. That's my part of the show, and thank you very much. I'm honored to be part of this huge thing. It's because of you that we're here, and keep it up. Thank you. Buddy wanted to borrow my guitar. Where's he? Where's the guy that wanted to borrow my guitar and play a song? Sambu. Sambu, where is he? You're there. He's not here. Well, hey, let's summon him. Pass it. I'm off. Okay. Where is the guy who's coming up to play? Sambu. Well, if he's not here, I'll just do that chorus again for you all. How's that? Passing through, passing through. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes blue. Glad that I ran into you. Tell the people that you saw me. Tell the people that you saw me. Go on and tell the people that you saw me passing through. And if there's no shampoo, go on to the next part of it. Here's a microphone. Thank you very much. Keep it up, folks. We're going to save those trees.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us to stand up for both our ancient forests and their relatives, all the Indigenous people of this land. My name is Jessica Ostroff. I use she, her pronouns, and I was originally born on the unceded Algonquin territories where my family has lived for 2 generations. And previously, on my mother's side, we are a Mizrahi Syrian, and on my father's side, we come from Poland. I've had the immense pleasure of living at the blockades for the past 10 weeks now, where, if any of you have been out there, you know what a truly amazing experience it is. You know the sense of community that comes together and the learning, and especially the leadership from our Indigenous people and the way they teach us to treat our relatives and elders. I was lucky enough to spend a lot of time in the Kaikous Valley and spend 9 days up one of our old growth trees. The things I learned from our ancient relatives were numerous, and I want to invite up some of our other land defenders who've had similar experiences who can come share and tell some of their stories. So we're going to invite up Joe, who is, he's already signed me. There he is. We also have Panda, another tree sitter, who will be joining us. I'm sure a lot of you have seen his video and know how wonderful he is. As well as if Rainbow Eyes and Katie George Jim want to join us, they'll be sharing their experiences on the ground as well.
So we started the process of trying to protect our ancient elders at Kaikus the weekend, Easter weekend on Easter Sunday. It took a lot of people just bringing everything they could, and everybody had something different to bring, and every single one of those people contributed something to this movement. The things that we learned up there, it was both a wonderful experience and a horrific one. There were about 12 hours of the day where we were the only people in those old growth forests getting to just observe all the things that were happening around us. We saw the spiders that were up in the trees, and we heard the woodpeckers making their homes, black bears, and just really experiencing what it was like to be in one of those really ancient ecosystems, which is still intact, and we don't have many left, so we need to keep protecting them. And then 6 hours a day, the police would arrive and the loggers would arrive, and you would sit there listening to saws go for 8 hours and cutting down our relatives. And when the really large trees fall, there's this sickening silence that happens until you hear the crack, and then about 5 seconds until they hit the ground. And the way it reverberates throughout the valley is just, it's not something you can really describe or experience. But honestly, our experience as white settlers on the ground is completely different from the experience of the Indigenous people who are there, and that's the thing that is most completely unacceptable. You have people who are up there willing to get arrested, putting their bodies in the way, and RCMP are treating them with gloves like little babies. And then you see legal observers who are Indigenous, people who have a legal right to protest, and they're being violently assaulted. They're having racist things said to them, and their rights, they're being denied access to their lands, and these are things that can't happen anymore. We need to be fighting not just for the trees, but for the Indigenous people of the land, and this has to be a land back movement because they're the people who know how to truly steward what's happening here. I think Panda is going to share a little bit of his experience here with you.
Hello, everybody. You all hear me back there? Yes! I feel so honored to be standing here in front of all of you. And in the past few months of being part of this, I've had so many blessings in my life. And the first thing I'd like to share is those of us who are out there in the front lines protecting the trees. When we hear of the people, of all the people here and in the camps and all over Canada and even in the US coming together and rallying and protesting, this is the fuel that just keeps us going, because in my heart I feel like we're all connected, and just I can feel your support from wherever you are in the world. We feel it. And I just like to give a huge thank you to all of you. Another thing I'd like to share is, as we were spending time in the trees with nothing to do except sit there and exist, we saw the forest for what it really is, for what it truly is. And we saw all the life present there in the forest, all the birds and the bugs and the creepy crawlies and all this life. It has a message for us. It had a message for me, and I think it has a message for everybody. And this message is something that I think is just, you can't really put into words. And I think we should all go and witness it ourselves. And so I encourage every one of you to take the time and go and visit these ancient elders and just sit without expectation and without any preconceived notions, and just feel the message they have for us in our hearts. Thank you.
Osiam natsiaya anta twakutan tanitia Tuaquam, Klumklumlitz, Kautzen. Good day, friends and family. My ancestral Hulkameetnam name is Tuaquilton. Our village of Huaquam on Salt Spring Island is a place that we've been working to reclaim with Indigenous youth culture and leadership camps, wetland restorations, and other work. My identity is about to come forward later. And so we've been doing similar work. Many people, I'm just one of many, holding space for Indigenous youth, aunties, uncles, sisters, brothers, grandparents out on the front lines. And so I don't know if there's other Indigenous youth, BIPOC folks that want to come up and share about their experience. Please come forward. And for now, I'm just going to introduce another young forest defender who has also come out to our territories on Salt Spring and supported the work that we're doing there to keep our ecosystems intact. The Suntla, the elders of our forests that we're losing far too fast, despite the lies and continued theft of land and so-called resources, our relations on these lands. So I'm going to pass it along to a young one now to share about her experience and all of the good work that she's been doing in her short life so far.
Hi, I'm Kumi, and I'm 13 years old, and my first time at Fairy Creek was last week, and I was chained to a gate at 2000. My mom didn't know. I tried to get arrested, it didn't work. We stopped the loggers actively logging for a day, which is really good. I feel like I have a privilege other people's don't, and I feel like I should use my privilege in a way that other people's can't, because I'm white, and that makes me a huge difference from everybody else in such a stupid way. And I'm here to represent the people that can't be here, or that don't know how to help, or that will be charged with criminal offenses for no good reasons. And as a youth, I feel like I have more of an impact because it's my future, and I don't want my future to be a bunch of little trees or no trees, because that doesn't make sense for me to have my kids see nothing. It just doesn't make sense. And I don't want there to be no trees, because I live in a forest. We have 14 acres of forest, and we have a farm, and it's so beautiful. And so every time I come into the city, I'm like, get away from me. I don't want to be here. There's too many buildings. So I really feel that I want more kids out there, and I want them under 16, so it's so hard for the police officers to arrest them. Like, we turned loggers away, and we were just chained there. We turned them away because they didn't know what to do with us. They're like, oh, that kid's 13. Well, guess we're gonna have to leave now. So yeah, I'm just, be able to let your kids get arrested if they're that invested. That's my wish. Is there anyone else? Okay. I'm supposed to talk for another minute. Yeah, if you guys are able to go up to Fairy Creek, it's really amazing what they're doing up there. Everyone's so supportive. I'm going up there, not this weekend, but next, with a bunch of kids who can be arrested. So, Bring your kids and I'll tell them where to chain themselves. Yeah.
You're introducing Luke.
Okay. So now I'm introducing. Wait. Oh, yeah. And I'm gonna pass the microphone to Katie. Or someone. She's gonna tell you about her experiencing blockading. Here you go.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Hello! Whoa, wow, it's been a long while since I was causing trouble for this legislature here. But also, causing trouble just means being homo, just means being kuas, because being that you're criminalized for asserting who you are without a doubt, without an apology. And so, to be back here, I've been living in Pachidat and Diridat territories for almost 2 months now, and supporting my uncle through, well, we've been supporting each other and being able to learn about each other's experiences, to be able to be vulnerable and have that love across colonial trauma, across colonial experiences, and learning how to have that intergenerational relationship. And for him to share his experience and our family's experience on the Jones side, to be able to talk about the history of how our families have come to be today in relation to Pachidat, in relation to all of the relatives that we have lost to genocide and smallpox in that territory, to be aware of the type of legacies that our families hold, both that we can be proud of, but also those that we need to be able to reflect on and to ensure we don't repeat the same mistakes. And that can apply for all of us in our ancestral lines, where we have the responsibility to place. And so when we list our parents like Kwetstanat and Tleetmatsten, that speaks to the land in which that formed their names, that inspired and gives power to their salit, to their spirit, to their Tlimaksti. And so what gives power to me and my spirit, Huisquacha, in my name, in my relatives, and our histories here, that means that I can meet all of our relatives on this island and have that alliance, and to show that our experiences on the land, when I embody my spirit, when I embody my name, there is no colonial power that can match that, that can remove me, even if they try physically to rip me away from defending and standing up for ancestors. I was forcibly removed from Diridat territory by not only just RCMP, but by the Integrated First Nations Unit, by the Division Liaison Team, by Lake Cowichan Police Department, by RCMP across this province. The type of racialized violence that has been targeted at Indigenous people, both from these lands, that started by removing our children from the homes and incarcerating the parents that stood up for them. The RCMP having that way of causing war between the sovereign nations of these territories. Many settler people had a chance to engage with this type of history when we saw the militarized enforcement and invasion of Wet'suwet'en territories. But that is not the only example
of where the police have asserted that state violence on sovereign lands. They're doing it every single day on this island, only kilometers away from this capital, where we know that the RCMP and the Victoria Police Department established this city, that this used to be old growth on all of our territories here. What about all of that history being able to be attached to my experience today, to my family's experience in relation to being removed from the land and having language stripped away, from having to hide our culture, from having our children taken to this day, having our children taken from our families? And how many people, if this is the first generation not to go to residential school? The last residential school closed the year I was born, in 1996. So you may think, how is this connected to old growth? As many of the speakers spoke before me to say that they are our relatives. We have some of the most closest relationships with our relatives that aren't human. And so for us, in so many of our territories where there is no more old growth, no more original indigenous ecosystems that can flow, we are dependent on every other territory who has that scarcity, that is the only thing that they can stand up for now. And so for old growth, for me, I've been able to heal. I don't have anxiety, I don't have depression, I don't have a lot of that self-hate and all of that colonial entrenchment in our minds when we're on the land, when we're meeting with our family, when we're meeting with our future generations to be able to pray for their future to exist. And so, if this is not necessarily going to hit you in your heart right now, I really encourage you to reflect upon that and do that work with yourself as to how we are connecting our networks as Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people. How we are connecting our networks across racialized people and oppressed people from so many different territories. What it means to truly have sovereignty and liberation on these territories and to be anti-colonial in the sense of you are choosing a different loyalty. You are choosing loyalty to the land. You are not choosing loyalty to what is behind me here. So I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up. For each and every one of you that have been able to go out and defend the land and to respond to the call from my Uncle Bill, from my cousin Victor, and from all the aunties and Diddy Dot, and all of the great aunties and Patchy Dot, and all of our ancestors that are watching. They are here. They are here with us, and they are here with you. And we can rewrite colonial legacies to not be a part of our present and future. But it is up to that direct action. It is up to remembering that you have power outside of what this institution represents. You have the power to be in relation to the land. And I'd really like to raise my hand to all of the Indigenous youth, to our Indigenous relations on the island, to the Kwakwaka'wakw, to the Nuu-chah-nulth, to the Coast Salish, and to all of our northern family, all the way up to Tlingit, all the way across to the Tonga, all the way across to so many other continents where they are fighting against colonialism, fighting against violence against the land. We are all fighting to have that love with each other. And I know that you're fighting too, because that's why you're here. That's why you've shown up. And so don't stop. Like my uncle says, we are not standing down because there is no band councils they do not give consent. Band council is not consent. Treaty nations are not consent. And we do not negotiate with colonizers.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hello. My name is Siam Hamilton. I'm Stalo and Nuchanoth, and I've been one of the people up on the mountains, spending time with my relatives, praying and sharing, and being in solidarity with everybody who has showed strength and has been resisting the logging of old growth. This is an incredibly complicated time for our people as Nuchanoth people. It's an incredibly complicated time within our country. It's an incredibly complicated time to be a young Indigenous person in this country. And right now, for me to be in solidarity with all of the people standing on the mountain, getting arrested, facing police violence, that is one of the places that we've been able to find our strength. I'm really thankful for all of the supporters who have shown up today. I can see that you're on your journey right now. You're on a path towards reconciliation. But I know that this city, it does not agree with us. It does not agree with Indigenous people. And so I wanted to bring up the fact that the city of Victoria has canceled Canada Day recently. I would also like to remind everybody that the Victoria Police and the violence that it has brought towards our people recently, and I guess over the last year or so, and throughout all of the time that the Victoria Police has been policing our nations and our communities, it's been a violent relationship. And I need every single person in this crowd to take a personal responsibility when you see those cops coming towards us. Because the survivability of Indigenous people requires each and every one of you to stand in solidarity with us, whether it's for old growth or against pipelines or against missing and murdered women and girls and Two-Spirit people. Our survivability is dependent on these relationships that we are building together today and every day going forward. I need every single person here, when you see police coming for us, attacking us, for protecting the land, for protecting the water, for protecting the air, to stand in solidarity with us. I learned something really powerful and really important, and something that makes my heart feel really good when I'm scared and I know the cops are going to be mean to me. It's something that I tell my relatives when they're being pulled from me by the police. And it's something that I've learned to keep myself safe. We say, who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
The Victoria Police Department sure does not keep us safe. The Legislative Assembly cops certainly do not keep us safe. The RCMP does not keep us safe. So when I say who keeps us safe, I want you to say back, we keep us safe. Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
And so there's another thing that I've learned, and it's something that I think about often when old growth is under attack, and it's something that I like to say to myself
And I would like to hear all of you say back to me, when old growth is under attack, stand up, fight back. So when I say, when old growth is under attack, you say, stand up, fight back. When old growth is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When old growth is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When old growth is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When old growth is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. And I want you to keep that same energy when Indigenous youth are under attack.
So now I'd really like to welcome everyone to get into a comfortable place within our COVID restrictions, because we're just going to come together and we're going to do a walk to the water to do a prayer before we continue. And so I really would like to invite every single one of you to join us, and then we'll come back to the stage together. How does that sound? Okay, and so we're gonna be led by Rainbow Eyes at the front, so just feel free to come in on the wings and make a line. Perfect. And please don't leave yet. We really need all of you to be a part of this. So just come in on the sides, go down. Perfect. We're just gonna come back to the fountain here. Come in close. Everyone from up here, we need everyone involved. Let's go bring all the signs. Bring your signs, bring your drums, bring your energy.
Not right now. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, what's up? Okay. Perfect. I know.
Yeah, let's keep up that energy.
Okay, I need to stay on this together.
Hey everybody on the live stream, Jason here. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're not equipped to stream today down from the water. This was an unexpected moment, so we're going to stay here and receive the group when they come back to the ledge, so stay tuned. Have them put the orca over the cameras. Check with Sally, maybe she has some, but probably not because she's not organized like that. Yeah, pretty hard now. You're packing up your guys' stuff, eh? I'm packing up all the non-essentials right now. Oh my god, they did it again and again and again. Yeah. And oh, hands. Oh my god. They're so good. Wow. Are you zoomed in on it a bunch?
Just not super tight.
Go tight. Go ahead. Press into that. Yeah, he's got it.
Nice. Facing the queen. I love it.
Oh my god.
You love to see it. Oh yes, the controversy. Fucking royals. These red weirdos. Oh wait, can they hear us on the live stream? Woohoo! It goes for you, Zuckerberg.
You royal weirdo.
Yeah. Sally, weirdo person. Isn't he doing something weird?
Check.
Andrew, can you verify? Check.
Do you have that shot on right now? Yeah. That's what's up? Yeah.
Hey everybody, Jason again. Just checking in. If you are still with the live stream, we're going to have to pack down. The whole community moved down. You might be able to see we zoomed into the statue. There's a lot of action happening down there. We weren't able to follow it with our cameras. The rain's coming down really hard, so the organizers here are starting to disassemble. The sound system was packed down, and I don't know if you can see up here, but there's nobody up here anymore. So we're going to close down the live stream, and I'm interpreting that the event's going to carry on down by the statue, which we aren't able to share with you in this way, and maybe through Rainforest Flying Squad, Worthmore Standing. I'm sure there'll be a lot of photos and videos coming out later today from down at the statue that might tie the end of this story together for all of us. Thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, and thanks for your support of Old Growth. Take care.